Yo, what is up YouTube? Evolution here, back with another Resident Evil 9 DLC information video here on the channel. Make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Resident Evil Requiem has been out for almost a week and some days. Hopefully a lot of you guys out there have completed the game. If you have, comment down below if you have beaten Resident Evil 9 and you're on your second playthrough. Now the reason why I'm making this video is because all of you Resident Evil fans out there like myself that have beaten this game, we're wanting a little bit more, don't we? Because after you beat the game, there's not really that much left to do. There's no mercenaries mode, nothing else really that we can possibly do after we beat the whole game. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Dusk Golem. He is a prominent leaker when it comes to Resident Evil games, and he said here on Twitter, Resident Evil Requiem originally had a second section in Raccoon City where you drove around a bit, but it was scrapped before the final. I find it funny how Leon just leaves his car in the middle of the road and we never see him return to it in the final game. 100% true. He gets out the car and we just never seen him get back into it ever again. He says here, a lot of people have asked about it and I have a little bit of information to say. So let's talk about Resident Evil Requiem DLC. I'm fully aware there's Resident Evil 9 DLC that's late in development, though I think that's hardly surprising. I think since Resident Evil 5, every Resident Evil game except Resident Evil 3 has had some form of DLC and separately. RE6 and RE3 were supposed to have some story DLCs that were canceled and part of their reception. RE6 about Claire responding to Tall Oaks with Terra Save, which turned into Revelations 2, and Resident Evil 3 about Nikolai. Anyways, Resident Evil 9's DLC was originally conceived to help space out the release between RE9 and the upcoming Code Veronica and Zero remakes back when Resident Evil 9 was coming out in 2025, but it got delayed. So the DLC should be releasing in a far closer window, especially with CVR slated to be announced later this year. With Grace's mother, Alyssa, he ends up talking about her. He said, previously I mentioned Alyssa. The reason for that is I heard they have a full playable version of her rigged up that I heard was likely not playable in the main game, but being made for some DLC thing. No further context than that. However, more recently, I've been hearing a few times in the grapevine, now there's likely a Leon DLC. I do not know the scope of RE9's DLC outside of it existing, but I can take some educated guesses. Nakanishi said there would be stuff to keep people playing RE9 long after the main story was complete. And I've beaten the game, and there's not really much to do as of right now. Okay, moving on, he says most Resident Evil engine games have had post-launch bonus modes added to the game. That seems likely, and if a story DLC is Leon focused, could also explain why I know of Alyssa being playable if it was made for some DLC bonus mode. But to see, I'm aware of some content. He says right here, that was cut out of the final game. Some really late in development related to Leon. There's also some dev comments from interviews they said about Leon that's not present in the final game. I have my suspicions. Some of this was maybe repurposed in dev for release timing. I don't know Capcom's plans, but I'm very suspicious of Resident Evil 9 embryos releasing on July 30th this year that add weapon skins and such. That feels like a part in a bigger DLC marketing push if you ask me. So, what I think is going to be happening is that we're going to get Alyssa's side, which is Grace's mother, leading up to the beginning of Resident Evil Requiem. And then if you actually beat the game, you remember the ending cutscene? We don't see Chris. You have Hunsk killing all the BSAA soldiers. I don't know if it's a clone or not, but I don't think it is a clone. But we see him and Leon get into it and have a fight, and then at the end of the game we see a cutscene of him killing the BSA soldiers of Chris. And there's also rumors that there are strong hints from hidden game files data mining indicating that the upcoming DLC will be additional chapters explaining Ada's role in the shadows throughout the events of Requiem and how she helped Leon and Grace. I don't know if that's true or not. Dusk Golem didn't say anything about that, so I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt, but shout out to Rhino here. He tweeted everything that we mostly talked about. But there's one very important thing that I really want to talk to you guys about that Rhino did in this tweet, and he says it right here down below. Source heard of content about Leon set in 2020 as the director of Resident Evil Requiem, commented about content for Leon set between Resident Evil 7 and 8 to bridge the gap about what happened to him after Resident Evil 6. So that's also very important. We really don't know what Leon was doing during Resident Evil 7 and Village. So I would love to know what happened during those segments of those two games. The upcoming additions will unlock iconic areas in the next generation version, such as the Clock Tower and General Hospital, which will serve as the stage for the psychological horror missions in the Alyssa Ashcroft DLC. I don't know if it's true. We don't have no gameplay, no teasers, no nothing. We have not heard a single thing besides what Dusk Golem has talked about on Twitter. If that happens to be true, I'm waiting for it. I hope the DLC is scary as it can possibly be. I want to be shaking while I'm playing this game. I love this game. I thought it was a good game. I can give it an 8.5 out of 10 if I could. So, DLC potentially coming for Resident Evil 9. I'm all for it. Y'all let me know your thoughts and opinions and comment down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel and share with your friends and family. Peace out.